Augustown, St. Andrew, a working-class community nestled near the University of the West Indies campus, where poverty and promise collided in the lives of countless young boys growing up in the shadows of Kingston's hills. But in the late 1990s and early 2000s, one particular boy from this community would walk a path that took him from the classrooms of Jamaica's most elite schools to the blood-soaked streets as one of the island's most feared gang leaders. Today we look at the life and death of Christopher Anthony Linton, better known as Dog Paw, a man whose story began with hope and ended in a hail of police bullets. Born on September 30th, 1986, at Victoria Jubilee Hospital, he was raised in a humble Christian home in Augustown with his brothers. His early years were filled with the simple joys of childhood, playing football, attending Sunday school, and watching cartoons, particularly his favorite show, Paw Paw Bears. His friends noticed he resembled Dawg Paw, one of the cartoon characters, and that's how the nickname Dog Paw was born, a name that would later strike fear across eastern St. Andrew. His mother, Clarice Sr., described him as a good youth who grew up in the church, a sweet and very intelligent little boy with great potential, brimming with hope, wonder, and trust. Around 1994, when Linton was just 8 years old, he was completely illiterate, unable to recognize or spell simple three-letter words despite attending school. It was during this time that a group of benefactors, including author Diana McCauley and her then partner, took notice of him and his 3 brothers. They sponsored the boys for education, giving them a chance at a better life. Linton attended St. Hugh's Preparatory School for just under 4 years, and the transformation was remarkable. He passed the Grade 6 Achievement Test, known as GSAT, and gained entry to Jamaica College, one of the most prestigious secondary schools in Jamaica. For a boy from Augustown, this was a dream come true. But the dream didn't last long. At Jamaica College, Linton struggled with poor academic performance, irregular attendance, and incomplete assignments in large classes of 40-plus students. He was asked to leave after roughly 1 year. A former schoolmate who spoke on condition of anonymity later recalled that Linton had paraded the moniker Dog Paw from they were in 7th grade and had a history of violence and gang running. He passed for Jamaica College, and immediately he was hugely famous among the school population from running a gang among his peers. He didn't stay long at JC. He was expelled and then attended Dunoon, where the badness reputation followed him. He was expelled from there also. By age 14 or 15, when the sponsorship ended, Linton dropped out of school completely and returned to the streets of Augustown. Despite his limited formal education, many who encountered him later, including lawyers and interviewers, described him as well-spoken, intelligent, and charismatic. His story partly inspired Diana McCauley's 2010 novel Dogheart, where Christopher was the real-life model for the younger brother Marlon, the hopeful child, while his elder brother Jeffrey inspired the protagonist Dexter. The loss of his elder brother Jeffrey Jones, who was beaten to death in a prison riot around 2002 or 2003, allegedly marked a turning point for Linton. Some who knew him suggested this tragedy may have prompted him to take a different path, deeper into the streets. By the mid-2000s, Linton had emerged as a force in the underworld, filling the vacuum left by incarcerated gangster Joel Andem, who was serving a 20-year sentence for firearm and shooting convictions. Linton unleashed violence on the eastern St. Andrew neighborhoods of Landlease, Mudtown, Kintyre, Papine, and Augustown, building what would become known as the Dog Paw Gang. The gang first came to police attention for its involvement in illegal sand mining and extortion in the Augustown, Kintyre, and Tavern sections of St. Andrew. But the gang quickly developed into a dangerous, heavily armed organization responsible for several murders and shootings. On April 11, 2010, An incident on Tavern Drive in eastern St. Andrew put Linton directly in the crosshairs of law enforcement. Police officers from the Jamaica Constabulary Force were on routine patrol in a marked service vehicle along Tavern Drive, an area associated with Linton's Dog Paw Gang turf. According to the prosecution's case, the officers were confronted by a group of armed men, including Linton and his co-accused Micah Allen. The accused allegedly opened fire on the police vehicle, shooting with intent to cause harm. No officers were reported injured in the incident, though shots were fired toward them. Linton and Allen denied the allegations, claiming they were not involved and challenging the identification evidence. But this incident occurred during a period when Linton was already rising as a notorious figure in the area, and it would come back to haunt him. Then came the incident that would make Christopher Dog Paw Linton a household name across Jamaica. In the pre-dawn hours of December 19, 2010, a large group of armed men, estimated by police and media to be between 40 and 50 strong, descended on a house in Bedward Gardens, a community in eastern St. Andrew, near Town and Papine. The attackers, armed with rifles and handguns, reportedly sprayed the house with bullets for several minutes in a sustained assault. After the shooting, they set the house and allegedly several nearby houses on fire, trapping victims inside or ensuring no survival. The attack was described as targeted and ruthless, with gunmen blocking escape routes. One survivor, a man who escaped, later recounted hearing gunfire, seeing flames, and fearing he would be killed next. He provided details to police, which helped fuel the massive manhunt that followed. The victims were Maurice Hilton, 50, described in some accounts as a taxi operator; Diana Forbes, 31, a mother who reportedly tried to protect or direct family members to safety amid the chaos; and her young son, Jaham McKay, just 6 years old and a primary school student. The child's death particularly outraged the public and clergy, with one leading clergyman condemning the brutality and calling for community intervention. The incident was widely attributed to gang warfare or feud, possibly linked to local rivalries involving the emerging Dog Paw Gang. Police launched a massive manhunt the same day, December 19th and 20th, 2010. Several persons of interest were detained quickly, but by late December 2010 and into January 2011, police named Linton as the reputed leader of the group, accusing him of orchestrating the attack. A $250,000 reward was offered by the Jamaica Constabulary Force for information leading to his capture as he went on the run. It was during this manhunt that Dogpaw reportedly penned messages to the police expressing his innocence and that he feared for his life. The police sent back messages letting Linton know that he could turn himself in without worrying about his safety. He was captured without incident in early 2011, allegedly found at a house in Elletson Flats area. Reports are that an illegal 9mm pistol was also found, and he was reportedly found in the company of a popular uptown socialite. This triple murder case topped the most wanted list in 2010 and 2011, largely due to this case, plus other linked shootings and extortion in the Papine and Town corridor. In February 2011, around February 14th, Linton, along with co-accused Yannick Ellis, also known as Slim Shady, and Donald Allen, also known as Donald Lalou, were charged with the murders. They faced 3 counts of murder, plus related firearm offenses. The men had been in custody since late 2010 and early 2011. The trial dragged on for years due to delays, with jury empanelment attempts in 2012, multiple start attempts in 2015, and testimony finally happening in 2017. But in April 2017, around April 27th, the triple murder case collapsed in the home circuit court. Prosecutors discontinued the murder charges against all 3 due to unavailability of key witnesses. They informed the judge they could not proceed. Linton's co-accused, Ellis and Allen, were freed immediately. Linton remained in custody on other matters, particularly the April 2010 shooting at police on Tavern Drive, but was never convicted of the Bedward Gardens murders. The 2010 shooting case moved forward. In February 2013, a jury in the High Court Division of the Gun Court in Kingston found both Linton and Allen guilty of shooting with intent to murder or cause grievous bodily harm to the officers and illegal possession of a firearm. On March 15, 2013, they were each sentenced to 15 years imprisonment on the shooting with intent charge and 15 years on the firearm possession charge to run concurrently, making an effective total of 15 years. At the time, Linton was described in court and media as the reputed leader of the Tavern and Augustown-based Dog Paw Gang, which had been terrorizing surrounding communities for years. This was Linton's only major conviction during his lifetime, and it stood out because it directly involved an attack on police, contributing to his most wanted status in the early 2000s. Linton and Allen appealed the conviction almost immediately after sentencing. Key grounds included poor and unreliable identification evidence, questioning how the officers identified the shooters in a high-stress, fast-moving encounter, unfair trial elements, harsh and unreasonable sentence raised by Linton, and arguments that a no-case submission should have been upheld due to inadequate evidence raised by Allen. In April 2021, around April 14th or 15th, the Court of Appeal quashed the convictions in a verbal decision. The court ruled the identification evidence presented at trial was unreliable. Both men were acquitted, their sentences set aside, and they were ordered released after serving just over 7 years. Linton was driven from the Horizon Remand Adult Correctional Center mid-April, self-assuredly saying, "Freedom is a must." This release caused significant local attention. Some communities like Augustown and Tavern saw heightened police presence to prevent unrest, while Linton's family and lawyer expressed joy and maintained his innocence from the start. His mother Clarice Sr. publicly stated, "I don't believe everything they say about him, because he is not a monster," and noted he was joyful and humble, even after years incarcerated. She viewed him as a model inmate and had hoped he would return to church. But Linton returned to a radically different world in which his influence had been stripped away by other criminal actors who had seized power while he was behind bars. After he went to prison, things began to fade, because not everybody did up with him. He had his share of opposers. A resident later told the Gleaner, police and sources with knowledge of Linton's operations confirmed that he had stirred up trouble upon his return to the community and was seeking to reassert his power. According to residents, Linton also sought to eliminate perceived competition for area leader, allegedly ordering hits on rivals. Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey, who headed the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Crime and Security portfolio, stated that since his release in April, Linton had been implicated in several murders and shootings. The noose was tightening around his inner circle of cronies, who sought to resurrect his reign of notoriety and bloodlust. Just 2 months after his release, on or around June 26, 2021, Linton was one of 4 men shot and injured by unknown gunmen in the Cane River area of Bull Bay, St. Andrew. This was an attack on Linton, not one he perpetrated. He was shot in the upper body and hospitalized for treatment, surviving the attack. The shooting took place shortly after midnight, or in the evening hours in Cane River, a community in Bull Bay known for occasional gang-related tensions. Gunmen opened fire on the group, the assailants fled, and no arrests were immediately reported from the incident. Linton reportedly told authorities he had been shot earlier in Tavern, his home turf in eastern St. Andrew and Augustown area, but police did not believe this account and maintained the incident occurred in Cane River, Bull Bay. The incident was linked to a long-standing family feud or rift between families in the Cane River and Bull Bay area, dating back to at least 2013. Reports described it as an alleged reprisal in this feud, escalating into gunfire that wounded Linton and the others. Cane River saw heightened tension afterward, with a cloud of fear over the community. The shooting was seen as a sign that the days appeared to be numbered for him, as rival pressures mounted. Then on Tuesday, August 10, 2021, one of Linton's loyalists, Romaine Richards, also known as Diddy, and described as his right hand, was shot and killed in Kintyre by rival gangsters. He was buried on the weekend before Linton's own death. It was a signal of the beginning of the end for the once feared crime lord, whose clenched fist and angry threats had long lost the power of persuasion in a spiraling war for turf, authority, and respect. On Monday, October 11, 2021, shortly before 2 p.m., police officers acting on information intercepted a vehicle in which armed men were believed to be traveling in Elletson Flats, St. Andrew, a relatively quiet residential area on the outskirts of Kingston, just meters away from the University of the West Indies Mona campus on John Golding Road. The vehicle was a Nissan Tiida with a female driver and a male passenger. When signaled to stop and instructed to exit the car, 35-year-old Christopher Dawg Paw Linton allegedly exited the vehicle and opened fire at the police. The gunfire was returned, and Linton was shot. He was taken to University Hospital of the West Indies, where he was pronounced dead. A Colt .45 pistol was reportedly recovered from the scene. The female driver, whose sources confirm was an insurance agent, was not injured or hospitalized as a result of the incident. Contrary to the bravado that had fueled his myth, Linton's end was swift and inglorious. As news of Linton's demise filtered throughout communities not far from the Elletson Flats death scene, celebratory shots rang out, prompting the security forces to increase their presence in the area. His slaying was met with relief and unbelief. Residents and passers-by stopped nearby the cordoned site of the shootout, pondering whether the man viewed as villain by enemies and defender by allies was indeed dead. The August Town Police were placed on high alert following the shooting death, with Sub-Officer in Charge Inspector Stephen Taylor telling the Gleaner that the security forces were bracing for a flare-up of violence as gang members once led by Linton might seek blood. There are a lot of persons aligned to him, and losing a leader means that people will strike back to show that they are not pleased with what happened, said Taylor. Some residents, however, expressed that the consensus among scores of people was that Linton needed to go. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, which reported there had been 101 extrajudicial killings by security forces up to October 12th, and a total of 115 in 2020, began probing the killing. 2 months after his death, on December 31st, 2021, the body of Christopher Dawg Paw Linton was laid to rest at Dovecot Memorial Park in St. Catherine. The service, which was scheduled to begin at 11 a.m. in the chapel, got underway at about 2:30 p.m. under the watchful eyes of members of the security forces, with mainly relatives and close friends in attendance. Police and soldiers crushed a plan to parade Linton's body through Tavern and neighboring communities in St. Andrew ahead of his interment. The heavy presence of law enforcers began Thursday night, when a wake being held for Linton was shut down, and many of those in attendance, including members of his family, were taken away by the police for processing. Thursday night's actions created tension that carried over into Friday morning, as livid residents and members of Linton's family expressed disgust at the treatment they received. They claimed that lit candles at the wake were kicked over by police, and people in attendance, including senior citizens, were roughed up and shouted at by cops who allegedly used obscene language. The officiating pastor at the funeral was prevented from delivering a sermon as the time allotted for the proceedings by the security forces had been exhausted. Mourners remembered Linton as one who loved people and lived not just for himself. Leah Tavares Finson, the daughter of Senate President Tom Tavares Finson and former Miss World Cindy Breakspear, half-sister to Damian Marley, walked into the chapel with a bottle of Heineken beer. She was teary-eyed throughout majority of her tribute to Linton, whom she described as very loving and caring. The two had a son together, born in February 2011, making the child 10 years old at the time of his father's death. There is no amount of Heineken I can drink to prepare for this. I have known Christopher since I was 17 years old. We have a son together, and we have had relations in various capacities over the years. One of his favorite things to say was, "Oh my days." I never stopped hearing that for 18 years, she said. When the phone rings and I answer it, all you hear is baby mother, and you would know it is some request. He was such a loving, caring, and giving protector. He was my protector till death, and protector of the children, even my youngest child. Tavares Finson said in reference to a baby she shares with dancehall artiste Javelani. She said that for 18 years, Linton was her best friend and a great father to her children, even though he spent most of his time away from them due to incarceration. Linton's girlfriend, Crystal Gordon, who delivered the eulogy, cast him as an innocent person who was victimized by the police and alluded to his innocence on the day he was killed, characterizing the reported shootout with the police as an allegation. She said that Linton was known to his peers to be loving, kind-hearted, friendly, and a jovial individual, which undoubtedly made him a lot of friends. He had a passion for nature, which inspired him to become a proud member of his school's environment club. Christopher was very much involved with his Christian beliefs and decided to get baptized at the age of 10. Tributes in song were delivered by his eldest son and other family members, who acknowledged how much Linton would be missed before the casket was taken to the grave. His longtime lawyer, Diane Jobson, who represented him from his teens, called him charismatic and controversially stated that Augustown is better off with Dog Paw. Christopher Anthony Linton, known as Dog Paw, left behind a complicated legacy that exposed the fault lines in Jamaican society. He was a boy who started with promise, given opportunities that most from Augustown never received, who attended elite schools and showed flashes of intelligence and potential. But somewhere between the halls of Jamaica College and the streets of Augustown, between the loss of his brother Jeffrey and the pull of the gang life, he became someone else entirely. His story raises questions that Jamaica continues to grapple with. What could he have become if the intervention had worked? What went wrong after he was given the opportunity to make good? Environmentalist and author Diana McCauley, who helped sponsor his education when he was just 8 years old, suggested that society, including herself, had failed him. Others pointed to the many Jamaicans from similar backgrounds who had done better, refusing to accept poverty or tragedy as an excuse for the path he chose. The death of Dog Paw in October 2021 marked the end of a reign that terrorized Eastern St. Andrew for over a decade. A reign built on extortion, illegal sand mining, shootings, and murders. Whether viewed as a villain who got what he deserved, or a product of a society that failed its most vulnerable, Christopher Linton's life and death remain a stark reminder of how quickly hope can turn to violence, and how the streets of Jamaica continue to claim young men who might have been something different.